The Nintendo Switch 2 already has one of the strongest multiplayer libraries any console has built this early in its lifespan. Each one supports either local multiplayer, online multiplayer, or both. These are the 10 best Nintendo Switch 2 multiplayer games. Marvel Cosmic Invasion is a side-scrolling beat-em-up developed by Tribute Games and published by Dotemu, the same partnership behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. 15 playable Marvel heroes are available, from Spider-Man and Wolverine to more obscure picks like Phyla-Vell and Cosmic Ghost Rider. Each character has a distinct combat style, some parry, some dodge, some fly, and the Cosmic Swap tag team system lets players choose 2 heroes per level and switch between them mid-combo. Up to 4 players can join locally with drop-in, drop-out co-op, and online multiplayer is also supported. The Switch 2 version runs smoothly in both docked and handheld modes, and Game Share allows a nearby player to join without owning the game. The campaign spans over a dozen missions across locations like Asgard, Wakanda, and the Negative Zone. Arcade mode adds unlockable modifiers for increased difficulty and replayability. On hard difficulty, the combat opens up considerably. Parries and dodges become essential, and button mashing gives way to genuine strategy. The pixel art sprite work is detailed and looks sharp on the Switch 2 screen in both docked and handheld modes. Kirby Air Riders is not a conventional racer. Directed by Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Super Smash Bros., it blends high-speed racing with arena combat and deep unlockable progression. Machines accelerate automatically. A 2-button control scheme appears simple at first, but mastering boost charges, spin attacks, and copy abilities reveals considerable depth. City Trial is the centerpiece for multiplayer. Players are dropped into an open arena to collect power-ups and swap machines for 5 minutes before a random final challenge tests whatever stats they manage to build. Hints appear on screen before each challenge, though some of them are intentionally misleading, adding another layer of unpredictability. Up to 32 players can gather in the online paddock lobby, a social space with jukeboxes and spectator screens between matches. Top Ride offers quick overhead races suited to party settings. Road Trip, a single-player campaign, contains over 100 unlockables. 20 playable characters from across the Kirby universe round out the package. Machine customization runs surprisingly deep, with textures, decals, pixel art, and accessories all available to personalize each vehicle. Split Fiction is built exclusively for 2 players. Hazelight Studios, the team behind the Game of the Year winning It Takes Two, designed every moment around cooperative play. 2 writers are trapped inside their own stories, bouncing between sci-fi cityscapes and fantasy landscapes with gameplay mechanics that change in every chapter. One section involves escaping a collapsing star. Another has both players riding dragons through a storm. The Friends Pass allows a second player to join for free on any platform, and crossplay connects Switch 2 with PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Locally, split screen runs at a steady 30 frames per second. Game Share extends access to someone on an original Switch. The campaign runs roughly 18 hours, and swapping characters on a second playthrough gives each player a different experience. Storage is worth noting. The game occupies about 70 gigabytes. The retail version does not include a game card, only a download code, so the full file size hits the Switch 2's internal storage directly. Mario Tennis Fever is the first Mario sports game developed specifically for the Switch 2. The roster sits at 38 characters, the largest in the series, including the first appearance of Baby Waluigi. The core mechanic is Fever Rackets. 30 rackets are available, each with a distinct ability. One leaves fire trails across the court, another spawns tornadoes. A shadow racket generates a temporary clone for extra court coverage. A fever gauge builds during rallies, and timing the release of a fever shot adds a layer of resource management to every point. Online ranked play offers both fever racket and classic tennis ladders. Wonder Court Match, which borrows random wonder effects from Super Mario Bros. Wonder, reshuffles the rules mid-match. Up to 4 players can compete locally, and Swing Mode with Joy-Con motion controls is available. The game runs at 60 frames per second in both docked and handheld modes. An Adventure Mode is included, running about 4 hours, but multiplayer is where the game earns its keep, particularly in extended tournament sessions and ranked online ladders. Overcooked, all-you-can-eat bundles both Overcooked games and all their downloadable content into a single package. Up to 4 players work together in increasingly chaotic kitchens, chopping, cooking, and plating orders under tight time limits. The premise is simple. The execution is anything but. Kitchen shift, split apart, and throw obstacles at players while they try to coordinate who is doing what. Communication breaks down fast, and that tension between teamwork and chaos is what keeps the game consistently entertaining. Local co-op is the primary draw, with each player needing only a single Joy-Con. Online multiplayer is also available. The game is backward compatible and runs well on the Switch 2. And physical copies are sold through standard retailers. For groups looking for a cooperative game that tests coordination rather than reflexes, few options on the platform deliver as reliably. The combined package includes hundreds of levels across both base games and all seasonal and themed expansions, giving it more content than most full-priced releases. Super Mario Bros. Wonder Switch 2 Edition adds a full multiplayer expansion to what was already one of the most creative 2D platformers in recent years. It holds an 86 on Metacritic. Bellabelle Park is a new hub containing over 17 local multiplayer minigames, ranging from competitive coin rushes to cooperative challenges where one player draws platforms for another to cross. Online modes support up to 12 players in competitive attractions. The expansion also brings back the Koopalings as new boss fights, adds Rosalina and a co-star Luma as playable characters, and introduces an assist mode built for younger players. 4 people can still run through the main campaign together locally. Dual badges, which combine 2 abilities into one, add another layer to both solo and cooperative play. For first-time buyers, this is the definitive version. For returning players, the co-op challenges add genuine replay value. Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny is a top-down action RPG built around local co-op for up to 4 players. 9 playable characters from 8 different Nickelodeon shows are reimagined as fantasy RPG classes. SpongeBob as a paladin, Leonardo as a samurai, Katara as a healer, Timmy Turner as a wizard, among others. The story is driven by a tabletop adventure gone wrong, with magical dice scattering power across fantasy-themed versions of familiar Nickelodeon settings like Bikini Bottomshire and the Ghost Zone. Combat is real-time with melee and projectile archetypes, and each character has unique special abilities. Drop-in, drop-out co-op keeps things accessible for younger players and mixed skill groups. The Switch 2 version runs at 60 frames per second at 1240p resolution. The campaign lasts roughly 10 hours. The voice acting covers each character well, and the personality of each hero comes through even for players unfamiliar with the source material. Physical copies are available for both Switch and Switch 2. And the Switch 2 version received a free upgrade with improved anti-aliasing, particle effects, and lighting. Mario Kart World is the best-selling game on the Switch 2, with over 14 million copies moved since launch. It supports 24 racers on the track at once, double any previous entry, across an open-world course design where every track connects seamlessly. 50 playable characters, each with unlockable costumes, fill out the roster. The biggest addition is Knockout Tour, an elimination format that links 6 courses into one continuous race. At every checkpoint, the lowest-placing racers are cut. It creates a kind of sustained pressure that the standard Grand Prix never quite achieved. Up to 4 players can race split-screen on a single system. Online lobbies, LAN play, and game chat voice and video support are all built in. Free roam mode opens the full map for exploration, P-switch challenges, and collectibles outside of competitive racing. New mechanics like wall riding and rail grinding add skill-based shortcuts that reward experienced players, and the soundtrack features over 200 tracks, including rearrangements from across the Mario franchise. Street Fighter 6 years. 1-2 Fighters Edition is a feature-complete port. All 26 characters ship included, covering the base roster and 2 years of downloadable fighters. Fights run at a locked 60 frames per second, which is critical for a genre where single-frame inputs matter. The drive system layers parries, drive impacts, and burnout mechanics into every round, rewarding both offensive aggression and calculated defense. Modern controls simplify inputs for newer players without reducing strategic depth, and the tutorial and combo trial modes are among the most thorough in any fighting game. Cross-platform online multiplayer connects the Switch 2-player base with every other platform, keeping matchmaking fast. Locally, 2 players can each use a single Joy-Con for quick versus sessions. The Battle Hub functions as a social lobby where players customize avatars and challenge strangers at virtual arcade cabinets. World Tour, a single-player RPG mode, is also included, though it runs at 30 frames per second, the only part of the package with a notable performance compromise. The Switch 2 also gets exclusive gyro battle and calorie contest modes using Joy-Con motion controls, though these are more novelty than substance. Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition contains over 110 minigames, 22 playable characters, and 7 boards. Jamboree TV, the headline edition exclusive to Switch 2, uses the Joy-Con 2 mouse controls, the console's built-in microphone, and an optional USB-C camera to place player reactions directly into the game. The mode supports 2-on-2 team matches with modified rules. Online scales up to 20 players in Coupathlon, a rapid-fire minigame sprint, and Bowser Kaboom Squad brings 8 players into cooperative challenges. GameShare allows up to 4 people to play the Mega Wigglers Tree Party board with just 1 copy of the game. Pro rules strip out luck-based mechanics for a more competitive experience. Between the volume of content, the camera integration, and GameShare support, this is the most fully featured party game on the system. The game was nominated for Best Multiplayer and Best Family Game at the Game Awards 2024. And the Switch 2 Edition builds on that foundation with hardware-specific features that the original could not support. Which of these 10 games do you plan on getting? Remember to check out each game using the links in the description. Let us know in the comments below.